Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Voice by Matt show. My name is Matt Bertho. I'm your host, and I'm with Cassandra today, otherwise known as the Business Savage. And we had already a really awesome conversation before we even got on the podcast. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, where to start? Well,
Yeah.
it's a long story. I'm a business coach now. Predominantly what I do is I help people find their voice and step into their power and create a brand that's actually going to leave a legacy and leave an impact. I do a lot of mindset work as well. So removing a lot of the limiting beliefs and all of the stories that we tell
Oh,
ourselves that are
yeah.
in the way that are holding us back from our truth. I have a long history in sports, which I'm sure will come up, a
Oh,
large balance of struggling between the masculine and the feminine, which I'm sure will also come up because it's a big piece of my story. And so now I am here helping bring more people back to the kingdom of heaven.
whoa. You worked
Hmm.
on that a little bit.
A little bit.
Because messaging is something that I have to work on with my clients too. So that was good. That was really
Thank
good.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there was a lot of little snippets in there that made us go, huh, what?
Lean
Yeah,
in stories.
tell me more about that.
Mm,
Well, Cassandra, you have an awesome energy, awesome spirit, awesome
thank you.
soul. I can feel it. And
Thank you.
you've really stepped into who you're supposed to be. Like I can feel it. And um talk to us about kind of the origin story, like how you grew up, like mom and dad, like all of that.
Yeah. So I grew up in a really small town. Played competitive hockey my entire life. 3 years old.
Hockey?
Hockey. I'm a
That is
hockey girl.
badass.
Yeah, I'm a hockey girl. I'm originally from Canada, so grew up in the country playing hockey when I was 3 years old.
Where at?
My just outside of Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, just outside of Toronto, and then hockey all over. Played competitive hockey my entire life, and I grew up with a father basically telling me I was the son he never had,
Oh
but
boy.
I have a younger brother. So you can imagine some of that energy and some of that dynamic. I have worn a very masculine dominant energy for most of my life. And that is kind of the pivotal moment that we'll get to of where I truly found out who I was is
Whoa.
when I really started to understand what was the driving force and what was actually driving my life and that it wasn't me. So I grew up a competitive hockey player. I went to school for sport business management. I ended up working in professional sport, Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Raptors.
Yeah?
I, I found myself in a 9 to 5 job that was super unfulfilling and so not in alignment with my purpose and my mission.
Hmm.
And so I was 19 years old. I took a chance. I started my first business in the beauty industry. I had no idea what I was doing. I was surrounded by an entrepreneur father and an entrepreneur uncle, but really didn't know what I was doing, full of fear, took the leap anyway, did it anyways. Fell flat on my face quite a few times, picked myself up, kept on going. And then I had a massive spiritual awakening and really learned the depths of who Cassandra really is, what my purpose is on this earth, and how I was selfish for not sharing those gifts with the world.
Whoa.
And
What? How old were you?
when I had my spiritual awakening,
Yeah.
yeah, I was about 26. I'm 35 now, so about 8, 9 years ago.
And how did that happen?
COVID. COVID happened. And
Oh.
I had led a 7 figure business and thought that success and money was what defined me. And was so unaligned and unattached with who I actually was. And
Hmm.
I went on a very deep journey of personal development and personal discovery. And I did some plant medicine. I refound my relationship with God.
Praise those.
I hired myself a mentor and I learned how to remove, which there's a story attached, but I learned how to remove my armor, so to speak. And then I realized who this beautiful little girl is inside of me that was being suppressed.
Whoa. Whoa.
And that's where a lot of the
Whoa.
truth came out. Yeah.
Uh, Isn't it incredible? I look at you and I'm like, she's always been this
Mm.
girl that's so confident and fun and warm and loving.
She was lost.
Yeah.
She was lost. Yeah. I get emotional. I'll probably get emotional talking about it because she was so lost. She was so hidden. She was told who she was supposed to be. She was protecting herself from the world. I was told by my first mentor that I walked around with a bulletproof vest
Huh.
because I was protecting myself from the world, but nobody had a gun. And here I was with this shell and with this armor, and it's so stuck in my masculine energy of trying to prove and trying to be all of these things that I wasn't, because
You were.
I really didn't know who I was.
So I assume that dad kind of had that armor also.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, of
he
course.
probably got it from his dad.
Of course. It's how the
Yeah.
story always goes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine too. Like,
Right. And then we get the choice at somewhere along the journey if we want to change. If I want to be the one to change that and not pass along that to my children and my family. Yeah.
you changed your family tree.
Yeah. Right. Beautiful. It's beautiful. It starts with awareness. It starts with the awareness.
Yeah, talk about how uncomfortable that is. When you
It
when you
is
find out.
yeah, it's probably the most uncomfortable thing, right? I think most people walk through life not knowing who they are, but also truly scared to find out who they are,
Hmm.
right? I run personal development retreats. I run business and mindset retreats, predominantly for women, but also for men.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people say that they want to come, but they're not ready yet. I said, what are you not ready for? Well, I'm scared of what I'm going to find out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm scared of what's going to come up.
Well, and I think intuitively we know that there's more in us. There's more
Mm,
that um, we're afraid of, we're scared of to uncover, to unpack.
mm,
Um, and those, the shells come up like when we get frustrated or angry or sad. Um, it's what position did you play in hockey?
I played center. I mean, no
Of
surprise.
course, of course.
Control freak over here. Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
destroyed people. Yeah,
I
yeah.
played a lot of boys hockey too, right? Walking into a room of men and what is this girl
Holy.
doing here? She doesn't belong here. Constantly having to prove my worth, proved that I belonged.
And I bet that made your dad so proud when you would
Hmm.
just destroy them.
Until the day that I quit.
How did that go down?
Not very great. Yeah, it wasn't very great. I was on the ice 6 times a week growing up. It was my entire life. I would
6 times?
6 times a week. It was my
So,
life. I
so
didn't have
you
my
were
first sip of alcohol till I was almost 19 years old because I had been consumed with sports. I didn't go to
train.
parties. Didn't go to parties. I was the hockey girl. I was the sports girl. It's where a lot of the savage mentality and a lot of the skills I learned have been so helpful in building businesses. But also, as you can imagine, I wore that dominant masculine doer energy. And
Yeah.
I was so out of touch with my femininity.
Well, let's dive into that because I
Mm,
think there are a lot of us, male and female, that are on one side or the other is dominant, right?
right.
How did you one find that awareness, and
Hmm.
then two, I know you're in a relationship now.
Hmm.
How have you balanced that with your partner and had those conversations? Because I think that's something that COVID made us all come together and be around each other a lot
Yeah.
in our families. And for me, I got divorced, and it was we didn't communicate, we didn't talk, and then we were in the house together, and we realized we didn't hold hands, we didn't touch each other, like it was just constant busy, and so we
Right.
grew apart. We literally grew apart. Um, but talk a little bit about those two things if you can.
Yeah, of course. I want to start with the latter because I think that this is really important, especially for a lot of women in business. There's this new era. I have an episode coming out next week on like the boss bitch era.
Yeah.
And these women that are, I don't need a man, I'm gonna do it by myself, like
Yep.
all this kind of
Well,
energy and
yeah. And in the
everything
United
else.
States, I saw that there's a lot of girls that are like, okay, I'm not going to have sex for the next 4 years.
Right. So, I mean, think about that for a second. And if I really want to dissect that, first of all, I used to be you. I used to be that. So
Yeah.
I understand, I relate, I know where you're coming from, and it's actually fear. The biggest thing, what that is it's actually fear. I mean, that's the basis of so many things. They are scared that they will never find a man who will be able to compete on that level or hold them in that level that will allow them to fall into their feminine because he's holding the masculine space so well.
Yeah.
She feels so safe. She feels so secure. She feels so seen that she can truly fall into her divine feminine essence.
Yeah.
And most women, A, are unattached from that or fearful that they will never truly find that. And so they fall into a hyper masculine energy. And then what that actually does is repel the very thing that they actually truly want the most, which is
Wow.
human connection.
Yep.
Right. So, yeah, my journey in that is not any different. I was in a 10-year relationship. I, pushed him away very much. It ended up with him being unfaithful. And I had every part of ownership in that happening. I understand why it happened. And it forced me to really reflect on who I was and what I wanted in a partnership.
Mm.
And now my partner is the most masculine man, but he also has the most beautiful feminine energy and ability to surrender. I feel so safe and so secure and so able to allow myself to fall into my feminine energy. He loves my drive, he loves my ambition,
Mm.
but I'm able to shine in this beautiful, creative, flowy essence because he's got me. Like
Yeah.
he holds that space. But that space, again, it required me to be able to surrender and to allow him to step into that energy and to hold that space, which ultimately is the fear that so many women are facing.
Yeah.
So, this relationship, it's been about a year and a half. It has rocked me. It has
Yeah.
rocked me. It has
What
shown me,
what
it
kind of
has,
conversations have had to happen? Like how have there been any fights? Have there been
oh,
any I ask
been any fights.
Go ahead.
Yeah, truth.
Yeah, let's go.
We've had more fights, and most people would think it's unhealthy. We've had more fights and more disagreeing because my deepest insecurities and my deepest wounds and my deepest traumas are triggered by him, and vice versa. So you
Same.
can
Yeah.
only imagine the space, the ability to remove your armor and your I have to be right, but say,
That's
hey, you know what?
beautiful.
I don't necessarily agree with you right now, but I see you. I can imagine what that feels like. I know where you're coming from. And I'm here to allow you to express us. Like, let's work through this together.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It has been the most challenging relationship. I have grown the most I've ever grown in a relationship. It's been incredibly powerful, incredibly challenging, but the ultimate base of why it succeeded is communication.
Yeah,
It's our
I'm in a very similar relationship with Angela right now.
mm-hmm,
We've had the same conversations and um it, it's awesome to talk to you to hear the growth because I feel the same way. Like I've grown so much in the last year that I've been with Angela. Like it's been incredible.
mm, mm,
Um, but it's like, man, I've never had these conversations before,
right,
ever.
right. Same. Yep. Yeah. And it comes to a point too where you have to be ready. You have to be ready. You have to be willing to put down your ego. Most people, especially now, 2024, we've got apps left, right, and center. You can swipe and find somebody else who's good looking with a good job that lives closer to you that you think checks all these boxes. And then you bounce to the greener side of the fence to only find out that they have the same bullshit.
Yeah.
So, really, the problem isn't everybody else. The problem sometimes is actually you. And in my case, it very much was so.
Hmm.
I had so much work to do on myself and stop saying, well, I want this in a partner. I want this in a partner. I want this in a partner. But Cassandra, are you that? Are
Wow.
you able to give that level of ownership, loyalty, faithfulness? Are you able to give all of these things that you're demanding and expecting a man to rise to your level, but you're not there yet?
Huh.
So it takes a radical amount of ownership and self awareness to truly cultivate a healthy relationship.
Yeah. You're still so young and you're so
Thank
wise. You
you.
it's I think COVID obviously was a curse and a blessing because I'm just going to say it because I feel like you're in total alignment with this. There's definitely a spiritual awakening happening
Mm.
in the
Mm.
last 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
Um, the fact that I get on the Zoom call with you and immediately we just go boop right in that quick.
Let's dive. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but that's the case with a lot of people that I'm meeting right now. Um, I think that as a teacher, we know the people that have actually worked like done the work, and we know the people that haven't.
Mm.
And I think, one thing that I'm very happy about right now is I'm getting to work with spiritual leaders now, pastors, people that are sons of pastors, people that are coaches and teachers. And so those are now my clients, and that's what I've always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to work with people like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know a little bit about your work,
Mm-hmm.
Cassandra. Like,
Mm-hmm.
talk to us about how did your work come to be? How did you define it? How did you clarify it?
Mm-hmm.
How did it evolve? Like, tell
Mm-hmm.
us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. The transition from sports industry to beauty was a leap of faith. It was a knowing so deep inside of me that I was following somebody else's should goals, aka my father. Felt like I needed to be in the sports industry, grew up in sports, so I worked in sports. And that for me was one day where I was sitting at a desk 9 to 5, and I just realized, like, I'm so miserable. I'm trying to book off time. I don't have any time left. I've got a space heater under my feet because I'm freezing. I'm stuck to this desk. This isn't
Good
living.
Lord.
And so, list goes on, and I'm not here to knock anyone that wants to stay in a 9 to 5. It was not for me. I'm not meant to be in that bubble. So I took a
Mm,
leap of faith. And that's a whole other conversation of what that's like, because that's scary. You don't know how you're going to pay your bills. I get it. I've been there. I've done it. Took a leap of faith, knew that I would bet on myself, went into the beauty industry, ended up being very successful in the beauty industry. COVID happens. And I find myself on a conversation with a gentleman who's a psychic. And I'm a little bit confused. I'm losing clarity. I just left a 10-year relationship. My business is shut down
oh
for 9
wow.
months. I'm stuck at home. Everyone's going through their shit. I don't know, what I'm doing or what my next step is, but I sure as heck know I'm not going to let the government tell me that I can't work and my doors are shut to my business. Okay, so what's the next plan? This is God's way of showing me what's the next plan.
Right.
And so I listen. So I listen. I listen. I listen to the signs. I listen to the ways he's moving in my life.
Huh.
And he called me to a psychic, and the psychic said to me, "You will end up healing." And I had nothing to do with this space at the time at all, not even remotely. He said, "You will end up healing, and it will be through your voice." Didn't know what that meant at all at the time. He said, "I see you down in the States. I want to say LA, but I'm not really sure." Lo and behold, I end up moving to Austin, Texas. That's
Ah.
just where the path took me. And one step at a time, really realizing how people saw me. And there was a disconnect between that and how I saw myself.
Huh.
There was a very strong lack of confidence in how people saw me as this leader, but I didn't see that within myself. And so I hired myself a mentor, $10,000, barely had the money, hired myself a mentor, listened to him, watch from him, learn from him. And it took me down to a business retreat in Austin, Texas, which is the first time I stepped into Austin. And I said, this is the path. This is the path. We did a breathwork session, first time I've ever done a breathwork session. And I sat there, lying there with my arms crossed, with a scowl on my face,
Yeah.
barely breathing. And they're coming over and they're breathing in my ear, trying to get me to go, trying to get me to go, trying to get me to go. And I'm,
Oh,
stubborn and resisting to it. And it wasn't till the end of the session where the leader pulled me aside and he said, "You are wearing a bulletproof vest and nobody here has a gun
who
until
was
you
the
remove."
mentor? Who was it?
So my mentor was Rob Dial, but the gentleman who said that to me that was leading the facility was Stephen Jaggers
Okay.
in the breathwork community, somatic breathwork. He said, until you remove that armor, you will never truly find out what's in here that you are so deeply fighting and protecting that
Damn.
wants to come out. And so I dove into personal development. I wasn't going to be the one who couldn't open up and couldn't connect
Right.
and pushing away relationships. And I'm in a burnout cycle. I'm putting myself in the hospital because I'm burning out in my businesses. And it's just this unhealthy, toxic hamster wheel. I said, this isn't sustainable. I'm going to have a heart attack by the time I'm 30.
Yeah.
So I dove into personal development. I started going to retreats. I started learning about spirituality. I started deepening my faith with God. A little bit of plant medicine involved. And that was probably the biggest awakening of my path and who I was actually destined to be and how I wanted to help lead people. And once you have some of those experiences, and we chatted briefly about, that beautiful aha enlightening moment,
Yeah.
and it's just this incredible strike of lightning of a knowing that hits you so deeply that you realize you are on this earth for something so much bigger than what you are currently doing. It actually has nothing to do with you at all. You're
Yeah.
just the conduit to help bring it to people.
That's right.
And I realize that mine is through my voice and through me sharing my voice, helping others share theirs.
Hey.
And more so than that, it's about them understanding who they truly are. Let's start to really remove these layers that may not even be yours, that you're wearing, that are bullshit, frankly. It's not you, it's not your truth. And we know how that shows up in the world. And
Yeah.
so I'm a business coach. I help people grow powerful businesses through messaging, through systems, through marketing, through branding, predominantly through content creation. But most of it is through what are you saying to align with your messaging? What are you trying to do? What is the ultimate goal? Where are we even headed?
Yep.
And how to create and structure a business and a brand that is in true alignment with your purpose, not
Yeah.
with your mom's, not with your dad's, not
Yep.
with what your boyfriend tells you or your
Yep.
neighbor down the street tells you or anything else, but truth for you.
Yeah. That's beautiful, all of that. And, in the classroom, I used to say, I'm not here to teach your mom and dad or your grandma and grandpa. I'm here to
Yeah.
teach you.
Yeah.
And what are your dreams? And something I'd like to say to my students and my clients is, don't you want to find out why your dream is your dream
Mm,
and not mine?
mm,
And why it's yours? Because I
mm,
don't have that dream.
mm-hmm.
And don't you want to
A lot of
find out?
a lot of people don't even know what their dream is.
Yeah. Well,
When
they're
you ask
afraid
them,
of it. Yeah.
mhm. When you ask them, they'll tell you, first of all, it's usually materialistic things. And so there's actually two questions that I like to ask people. And the first is, what is the emotional void that you were trying to fill?
Mm,
What is the emotional void that you were trying to fill? And I
that's
actually
really
will ask
good.
them to draw it out. One of my mentors had me sit with that. What is the emotional void that you were trying to fill? And then the second is, what is the pain that you have endured that you are trying to help others overcome? And when you really sit with that, the
Hmm.
emotional void that we're all trying to fill comes back down to community and connection. We all have a deep longing for community and connection. We can go back to ancestral times and talk about all of those things, but we're all here to build community and connection. And yet, so many of the ways that we live our lives are isolating us from the very thing that we need the most.
Wow. I love that.
Mm,
And I was just thinking about, for me, being not heard was, I think, the emotion for me.
mm,
And so, I help people be heard
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
give them that uh, empowerment to really let that spirit and soul and body come together.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Um, Talk to me about your retreats a little bit, like because
Mm-hmm.
I do events also. I have an
Beautiful.
event called Unmute where business owners come and we work on their voice and I give them technique and messaging and we do some storytelling and then I put them on stage for like 3 minutes and have them do a little speech.
I love this. I'm going to have to come check these out.
Yeah.
Yeah, our retreats are a perfect blend of spirituality, mindset, and business development. Be seen, be heard, be fearless is kind of the motto behind
Ooh.
it. Be seen, be heard, be fearless. And so it's a lot of the confidence building. It's a lot of what we have talked about, removing what's actually in the way. Let's talk about that. Let's bring the elephant in the room to the front. Let's talk about it. Let's identify and let's get through all of the stories
Yep.
that you were telling yourself that are not actually true, that are holding you back from sharing what your voice is. Let's discover what your voice is. We put them through a series of brand building workshops, messaging, clarity, content,
Yep.
and then a vision building exercise to step into and an action plan to step into it. But the beautiful piece is that we spend a lot of time on the body. I work with a business partner who is a body worker, fascial stretch therapy, and spinal energetics worker.
Cool.
So we do deep breathwork ceremonies. I'm also a singer. I grew up my whole entire life
See, I
singing.
was gonna ask that because I wondered. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up my whole life singing. And I have stories where I stepped off stage because of fear and shaking knees. And public speaking
Really?
was actually one of my biggest fears. And now I'm a motivational keynote international
Yeah, yeah,
speaker.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so we bring that. We bring the body work. We help them tap into the actual energy and move the energy. And I do sound healing and frequency work at the end of those sessions, a lot of
Oh,
mindset work, and then business workshops, creating community, having them feel safe, having them feel heard, be in the energy of inspiring women. So I have a program I'm launching in February, Voices of Impact, and maybe we have some stuff to talk about there because
yeah,
yeah, there may be some collabs opportunities.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what do you like to sing?
Country. A lot of
Really?
country. Yeah, a
I
lot of country. I'm,
never
I'm a
would have
country
thought
girl.
that.
I'm a country girl. A little blues, a little jazz, a little country,
Who are some of
worship,
your oh
worship
yeah,
music.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Chris Stapleton's my ultimate favorite. If I'm going to put something on, it's Chris Stapleton, Zach Bryan now.
You feel deeply,
Yeah.
Cassandra. Like,
Yeah.
and that's, I think that is the craziest part about this is because I was an athlete also, singer, voice coach, but I was always able to win because of my competitive nature. Like, no matter
Mm.
what I would put myself in, business, whatever, solos, I always had that competitive edge and I just
Yeah.
destroy people. But there's this part of me, and I'm calling you out right now too, that you've always felt very deeply.
Hmm. I just
How
didn't
did
know
that?
what it, I
Yeah,
just
go
didn't know what
ahead.
it meant. Yeah, no, I just didn't know what it meant. I'm a Libra. I'm super sensitive. So sensitive. Like
I'm a
I cry way more
Cancer.
than people okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I cry
yeah,
more than people think. I shared on Instagram the other day. It was funny. I had a realization. I was at an event recently. And when I'm at an event, if I'm speaking or if I'm at a conference, you're getting this type of energy. I'm
yeah,
present.
yeah.
I'm on. I'll hold space for you.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I'm on.
yeah,
But the second I'm not at that event anymore, I'm very introverted. I'm actually very, very introverted. And so I think it's funny because a lot of people assume when you can seem to be extroverted or competitive in sports and all, you walk
yeah.
with so much confidence, you must be so extroverted. No, I actually really recharge in the presence of myself and God.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think that's,
I think it's just really cool that because I pictured everything that you said about you sitting at your desk with the heater underneath
this
and you just being like, this is not it.
isn't life.
Like, this is
Yeah.
not it, God.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
What was the fashion or beauty industry that you got into?
Yeah. So I own a beauty salon. I still own it in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Permanent makeup. We started with a really big business in bridal hair and makeup. So
Okay.
yeah. So I'm a makeup artist, went to school for makeup. I still include some elements of that in things that I do. And it's my creative art. And it's
Yeah.
funny. I found a video the other day of myself. I was 3 years old. And someone asked me in the video, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a face painter. And
Whoa.
here you go. You fast forward, and my first successful business was as a makeup artist. Cool, eh?
That is
It was my path. It was my path. It was my stepping stone to what I'm actually truly supposed to be doing, which is using my voice, spreading that message, empowering other people to step into theirs, and bringing more people back to the kingdom of God.
so what has been the hardest challenge for you in the last 2 or 3 months?
Um, I think some of the biggest challenges have been letting go of the past identity and allowing myself to step into the next.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
just because you keep throwing God out there. So
yeah.
I have a new coach that I'm working with. He's amazing, and he's like 75, 78. He's incredible, and he actually brought NLP to Europe. Like he was
Okay.
kind of one of the proteges of the guy that started it. He took it to Europe and planted it there, and so I started working with him. And one of the things that I've realized that you just brought up is the past self. We are not that person anymore
Mm-hmm.
at all, right? And but we like to beat up our current self based on the shame and guilt of the past, which makes no sense
Mm-hmm.
because we are not that person anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard that the other day, I was like, this freedom came over me. I'm like, man, you need to quit like even thinking about that stuff. Like you're so far over that. And then furthermore, don't worry about the future. Like be like what you said, present in the
Present.
moment.
Yeah.
Um to talk a little bit about that because I feel leaders like you and me and Angela and other people that I know that are in this space are leaning more on God more than any time in my lifetime.
Hmm.
So talk a little bit about that.
Hmm. I mean, I think it's a death and a rebirth. We talk about this a lot, and it is the ability to. I don't know if there was a pivotal moment that I could tell you that was like the eureka moment for me. It was this unwavering knowing and trust and belief in something bigger than myself that was guiding the journey. And for me, that was God. I grew up in a Christian church. My dad's dad passed away, and so my dad blamed God, and he pulled us out of the church. And
Whoa,
I spent a
whoa,
I spent a portion of my early teen years hiding that I was going to church, hiding my faith from my father,
whoa.
and then I brought myself back. God brought me back. God brought me back. But there's this point where I like to call them like should goals or dirty shirts. It's almost like this identity that you wear. And I do believe that there's phases. Like that phase of my life was me and it got me to who I am now. And I don't know what's coming next, but I have full trust and surrender in whatever it is. It's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Mm.
That's it. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is what it's supposed to be. And I have full trust and surrender in that. And so it's almost this point that you come to that it's like every single day I said, God, just speak through me. God, speak through me.
Mm.
Walk with me, walk beside me. I have full trust and surrender, and whatever's supposed to happen today will. Do you have any idea how much peace you live in your life? A flight is canceled, there's traffic, someone breaks up with you, you lose a client. I don't care what it is. And you know, you have a deep, unwavering knowing that that is part of your purpose and part of your plan. And if we can just surrender and go, this is God's plan, not mine. I
Yeah.
am just here for this journey and I am just along for the ride. And so we have to allow those old bits of ourselves and that old identity to not continue to carry on into our steps forward.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that person. I'm not the
Yeah.
girl who used to cheat in relationships. I'm not the girl who used to lie about things. I'm not the girl who used to do all of these things that I'm not proud of,
Yeah.
but it's part of my story and it's part of who I am.
Well,
It's what made me who I am.
yeah, and it helps us relate to you, right? And
Yeah.
it helps people that are not maybe at your growth moment. It helps them relate to you also
Right.
to be like, "Whoa, hold on, she cheated on somebody?
Right.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?"
Right.
Thank you for saying that. Like, thank you for bringing that out.
Yeah.
What's something that you've been working on lately that's kind of you're excited about?
Project wise, personal development wise, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah. Retreats are lighting me up. Retreats are lighting me up like
Me
crazy.
too.
Events and retreats. There's something about having people in the energy of each other
Yep.
and allowing the energies to come together and you just kind of getting to step back and witness what's happened and bringing people together and how they elevate as a result of that.
Mm,
It's really lighting me up. The business side that I want to share, because I think this is so important for people to hear, myself being a doer and leading myself to burnout cycle. I have made some really beautiful hires in my business. All of the systems are smooth in my business. And
yeah.
so for the first time, I am able to say, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I can stay shining in my zone of genius and I'm going to allow my team and trust in my team. I used to hire and then I would wonder why they weren't doing their job. And I realized it's because I wasn't leading them to do their job.
Ah.
Right. Again, being
You
able to
wanted to
take
be
the
in
ownership.
control still.
Yeah. So this time around, it's been beautiful in being a proper leader, in showing people the way
Hmm.
and creating that beautiful culture and systems in my business that has allowed it to thrive and it has allowed it to be right. We're making more money than we've ever made. And I'm in a state of being rather than doing. That's
Hmm.
beautiful.
What are you looking forward to?
Speaking,
Yeah.
stages,
Where are you gonna
relationships.
where are you speaking next?
I have a couple of things coming up. I'm going to be speaking at a financial conference in January, which I'm excited about because, and here's a fun story. I don't talk about anything in finance at all. It's not a piece of what I teach. It's not a piece that I talk about, financial structure, any of it. And so this group of financial advisors reached out to me and asked me to come speak at a massive conference. And one of the things I always ask is why me? I want to know why me. Because
Oh, I love that. That's
if
so
I'm going to,
good.
if I'm going to craft a story and I'm going to walk across the stage and I'm going to share my message, this is who I am. This is what I embody. This is what I talk about. I want to know what attracted you to me because they reached out to me.
Huh.
And so they basically said, we love your fire, aim, ready mentality, your ability to take action. And these people in this room need a kick in the pants. So we need you to bring that energy and help them believe that they can do it too.
Okay.
And it's beautiful because you come to a realization of it doesn't matter if I'm a financial strategist or any of these things. My brand is my brand, and that's what attracts people to you, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. We're not here to service the entire world. I'm here to stand in my truth and my message, and this is who
Yep.
I am, and this is what I look like, and this is how I act. And if it's not in alignment for you, that's totally okay. But also the ones who it is in alignment for are two hands up screaming, saying, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
please, we want more of that.
Yeah.
Speaking and connections, community, relationships. I want to build powerful relationships. I want to connect with people that are leaders, that are movers, that are shakers, that are ready to take radical ownership, that are doing things in this world. And I'm ready to help call people up in that process. Like
Mm.
I'm going to put my hand out and I'm going to help lead you to the way. If you're willing to do the work, I'm willing to help you.
Mm.
And so relationships is a phase and a level that I'm at in my life that I'm really excited about.
Cassandra, do you have a book yet?
I don't, but I just started writing it 2 weeks ago. Thank
Okay.
you for asking me
You're
that.
you're welcome because
Yeah.
you're ready. You're definitely ready. I'm
Thank
working on
you.
mine also.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I'm gonna ask you some questions that I ask
Beautiful.
on every single podcast, and these are questions that I used to ask my freshmen when they started on the first day of school. I'd ask these 4 questions,
Okay.
um, and I think they're questions that are ongoing for sure. We're still gonna be learning. But the first question changed my life forever. It's why I got into singing. It's why I joined choir. Middle of my junior year in high school, I was in my counselor's office, Bob Tessman, and he said, what I'm going to ask you, what do you love? What do you
Mm.
love more than anything in the whole world?
Connection. I love
Why?
connection. Um, the emotional void that I've always been trying to fill is connection. I think it's the thing that brings everyone together is connection. And that's more from like a soulful spiritual level, if I'm really being honest. Connection. Seeing people step into their purpose.
Yeah.
Seeing people remove the bullshit and step into their purpose lights me up.
Being competitive as
Mm,
we are,
mm,
it's hard to connect to people when you're in competition mode.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree. I've really learned how to check that. I've learned how to turn that on when it needs to be turned on.
Yeah.
In the gym, in the right situations, in not stepping down from an opportunity. I've learned how to control that.
So at the gym,
Yeah.
do you talk to people?
No, I'm a savage. Don't talk
Me
to me.
neither.
Don't
And
talk to
and
me.
and and that's why I was asking because I was like, wait a second, she doesn't have conversations at the gym, and
No.
I don't either, and I feel like a dick when I because my heart does this work every
Right.
day, right?
Right.
And I love
Yeah.
this,
Right.
but when I'm at the gym, it's like I'm just gonna kick my ass, and I don't want to
Right.
talk to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. In order for us to do this work, it requires us to have the moments where we go back inward and refuel ourselves, right? Can't
Yeah.
pour from an empty cup. Mine is working out. And
Do
so
you?
the headphones are in. It's motivational
Yep.
speeches that I
Yep.
listen to now. It's all motivational speeches. It's not even music, it's just motivational
Or
speeches,
podcasts. Yeah.
podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like to say I go to war with myself. I
Yeah.
go to war with myself. I look in the mirror and it's the fear that popped up yesterday that stopped me from doing something. I look at it and I say, I'm doing one more.
Oh
Right?
boy.
99% of the world would quit right now. I'm going to do one more. I'm
Yep.
building the mindset of
Yep.
resiliency and a savage because when I want to get on that stage and I'm scared and my knees are shaking, I'm going to remember this moment right here, right now, how I just showed up and how I looked in the mirror and I said, I'm going to do one more.
So
And so
do
when
you
I,
ever like before you work out, do you ever have friends that are in there and you just kind of check in with them and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Or you just go?
yeah, no, I just go. Headphones are in. I mean, it's a quick head nod. It's what's up, a
Yeah.
quick head nod. But yeah, my partner actually he runs two businesses, and one of them he's a fitness trainer, and he's just as intense as I am. So we're actually in the gym together. Both of our headphones are in, and we know when it's our turn. We don't really talk,
Yeah,
and
don't
and
talk
yeah,
to
we're
me.
we're
Let me
we're
just
in our
go.
own zone. Yeah,
I
but
love that.
he's the one who'll pop on a heavier plate, and I look at him like he's crazy, and he goes, "I know you can lift that." I'm like, dang, he's right.
Yep, yep. All right, number
So,
2. What makes you tick? What gets you
oh,
excited?
oh, what makes me tick or what makes me excited? Those are two different questions.
What makes you tick?
Okay, as in like irritated?
No, like Ooh, like what makes me tick is seeing someone that I'm teaching, that light bulb moment go off.
Mm,
And you're like,
mm,
yes.
yeah. I think it's when I see people step into their power and their purpose. I see people step into action.
What do you
As a,
feel when that happens?
I cry.
Oh.
I cry. I feel things very deeply. I cry because I realize that it's almost like this conduit of it's coming out and it's coming through, and it worked.
Mm,
It worked. The light bulb
goosebumps.
goes off. People are doing it. Most people have the inability to take action. They say they're going to do things, they don't do it. They want to make a change, they find the excuses not to. The list goes on. This is what my book will very likely be about: a fire, aim, ready mentality, how to take action.
Yeah.
And so when I find someone who finally, I tell them, I said, listen, I can tell you the strategies to change that. I can tell you the strategies to grow your business. I can give you all of that. But if you won't take any action, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Can you take action? Will you listen? Will you integrate? And so when I find that they do it and it's working and the results are coming through and I'm getting the messages of Cass, I signed my first 20K client. Cass, this worked. Cass, this worked.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
or a smaller one. My father, I don't want to go down this whole rabbit hole, traditionally a big pessimist in life.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of conversations with him in the last couple of years of strong boundaries that needed to be set, of things we can talk about and not talk about, because it was very hard being around my family.
Mm.
And the last couple of times I've been over to his house, he'll say, "We can't talk about that. It's negative. Let's bring in more positivity into the night." Or you hear the little subtle changes in the ripple effect
Whoa.
of you being who you are and standing in your truth and sharing your message. When you start to see that ripple effect,
Goosebumps.
my brother came to me 2 weeks ago and he said, what church do you go to? I never thought I would have heard those words come out of his mouth.
Whoa.
So when you see the ripple effect starting to happen around you, it's like, more, please. That's my cocaine.
I love that. God,
Yeah.
man. I feel that so deeply. I got to hear my dad say I love you for
Mm,
like 3 years before he passed
mm,
away.
mm.
And it was because I called him out on the phone, because I said I love you to everybody. And I said, Dad, why don't you say that? And he said, Matt, I didn't even know I didn't say that.
Wow.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
There you
that
go.
explains a lot of what I'm doing and why I'm helping
Mm-hmm.
people with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, Number 3, what are your purposes?
Mm-hmm. To help people find their voice and step into their purpose, bring more people back to the kingdom of God.
Okay.
Truly. Yeah. Uncovering what they're not and unbecoming who they're not and becoming who they're supposed to be is definitely one of the biggest ones. If you want to talk from a soul level, not from a business level.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
way I want to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be a leader. I want to be a light in that. Like, I truly believe that I'm here to lead more people back to God. I'm
Mm,
here to help them take off the dirty shirts that they're wearing, the identity that they're wearing that isn't them, find out who they are, and start living a happier life. The world would be a radically different place if people had self-awareness and, the ability to understand what their purpose is. It would just be a radically different world that we lived in.
you have I've never I'm not I've brought this up a couple times on in the last couple podcasts I've recorded, but Cassandra, you have a tremendous amount of spiritual gifts, like
Thank you.
a lot.
Thank you.
Um, do you know what some of them are?
I do not. I've been told this multiple times. Maybe this is a piece of my journey that I'm at next. I do not.
Well, one of my gifts is helping people recognize that. Um, and well, one is you have, and you already know what I'm going to say. Like your energy is very, very, very strong.
Thank
The
you.
capacity of your spirit and energy is very attractive to a lot of people. And when you're around them, you help them bring down
Mm,
that armor.
mhm.
I got goosebumps saying that to you. So
Thank you.
that is definitely a spiritual gift that you have. Um, that's going to grow a lot as you get older. And so the disciplines that you already know about, the breath work, meditation, those are going to help that capacity get stronger and bigger
Mm,
and allow more of your spiritual gifts to evolve. We
Thank
could
you.
talk more about that offline, but
Love to. Love
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a
Um,
very strong intuition in me. And I've learned to listen to it.
yeah.
I've learned how to listen to it.
Well, and that's your whole action. Like giving people an awareness to be able to be like, well, why are you thinking that? Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
should lean into that a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that discernment that you have to just go, "Phew, I'm going to do this."
Right.
Not everybody has that. That's another
Right.
gift you have, right?
Right. Right.
Spiritual discernment.
Mm.
That's a gift you have for sure.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, and it
Yeah.
makes sense as a teacher, right? As a guide that you're doing that. Last question, and it's incredible that you're so young, and I think you already know this, because there are so many people on Earth that don't know this, but it's why we're on Earth. So, Cassandra, why are you on Earth?
The first thing that I wanted to say, and I always think it's so important to listen to that voice, is to dance, which
Oh,
is so great, is movement. Um, it's just to
why?
raise because I told myself my whole life I wasn't a dancer. I'm a hockey player. I'm a hockey player, right?
Oh,
And so this inner
whoa.
beautiful, yeah, this inner it's so wild. If you knew me 5 years ago, people who had did knew me, and now they just meet me now, they're like, I don't see that. Oh, she didn't know how to move, she didn't know how to express, she didn't know how to dance, she didn't
Rigid.
allow that feminine energy to flow.
Yeah.
And it was such a edge for me to
Mm,
allow that beautiful femininity and flow to come out. How that has radically changed my life is so different. I want to help more people understand that balance. I want to
mm,
help more people. um, the best way that I can describe it is to put down that armor or that masculine energy that is keeping them safe. We need the security walls of the riverbed, otherwise the river would be a puddle. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but also to allow that river to flow and that water to flow, we have to tap into that energy. I want to help more people live in that space.
You're on Earth to help us understand the beautiful relationship between masculine and feminine energy inside of every single one of us. And there doesn't need to be just one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it always comes back for me bringing more people back to God. I want to be a leader in it. I want to
Well,
be a
you
leader
are.
in helping people come back, realize who they are. Oh, we could have some really deep conversations around some things that I've seen in the way that the enemy can show up in people's lives.
Yeah,
I want to help more people see the light. I want to help more people live in light.
you are.
Thank you.
Your whole brand is very light.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did a great
Thank
job
you.
with that.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
How can people get a hold of you? How can they work with you? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, Instagram's a great way to reach out at the.business.savage. Of course, joining our mailing list, we send a lot of really beautiful stuff in the mailing list. We have a free app, the Business Savage app, a lot of free
Oh,
resources.
cool.
Yeah, and then our website. I have my own podcast, the Business Savage podcast. So a lot more of these stories as well. Would love to have you on the show.
Yeah, let's do it.
So those are some of the best ways to kind of stay in touch.
Okay.
Yeah,
You have any final words today for the
yeah,
listeners?
yeah. The biggest thing that I always like to share is feel the fear and do it anyways. It's been the motto of my entire life.
Hmm.
It shows up in everything that you do, everything that you do. The more that you can be aware that it is there, look it in the eye, give it a wink, and say, I see you, but I'm going to do it anyways. The more you'll start to notice your life will radically change. We get to control our lives. We don't let fear control it.
Man. Well, I can't wait to read their book. Like, I can't wait
Thank you.
to gift the book to people because I
Thank you.
know it's going to be a really cool story and great lessons for us to learn too.
Thank you.
And I think it's very healing to write a book. I know
Yeah.
it's very healing even to do what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
The teaching that we do is very healing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Cassandra.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. So Thank you guys for listening. And please go follow and connect with Cassandra, the business savage. And hopefully they're going to see you at some events soon.
That would be great.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.